Hi, my name is Joanna Oko. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to crochet this top over here. I also have a tutorial on my channel on how to crochet this pair of shorts, so kindly subscribe to my YouTube channel for more interesting videos, and let's get started. So for this project I'll be using the following materials. I'll be using fingering yarn, and it's called Robin, and it's 100% acrylic yarn, but you can use any other yarn of your choice. And I'll be using 2.5mm hook. So let's say if you're using medium weight yarn, you can use from 3mm crochet hook up to 5mm crochet hook, depending on how you want your top to fit. The tighter the hook, the smaller the hook, the tighter your stitches is going to be, and the larger the hook, it's going to be more fluffy. And then you also need a tape measure and scissor to cut off your ends. You also need a tapestry needle to help you weave in your ends. And yeah, so for this top we are going to work in 2 panels. I've already made the front part, and the front part and the back part is exactly the same size, and my front part is 7.5 inches. Yeah, it's 7.5 inches, and I'm working with a bust size of 36. So yeah, that's fit size small to medium. So if your size large, you can actually start with a neck size of maybe 9 inches. So whatever chains you're going to make, you can make it up to 9 inches. And also, if you need to have like maybe a small neck and you're a size large to extra large, I'm going to show you how you're going to increase your work quite fast, so that by the time you're done, you'll be able to cover your bust quite well. So yeah, so let's begin making the other part of this piece. To begin, make a slip knot, and I'm going to chain 7.5 inches, and that's approximately 53 stitches. If you're size large or extra large, start with a neck of 9 inches. The reason why I know the exact number of stitches I'm going to make, it's because I've already made one part of my work, because the both sides should be the same. I have my 52 stitches, and now to add to make it 53, I'm going to hold on to the last stitch, and then I'm going to chain 3. These 3 acts as my first double crochet, and then I'm going to yarn over, go into the stitch that I held, and then make a double crochet there. So it's like I have 2 double crochet now, and then I'm going to make double crochet in each and every stitch until the end of the row. So I'm at the end of the row, and this is how it looks like. To begin on the next row, you're going to chain 2, turn your work around, and the chain 2 acts as your first double crochet, this stitch over here. So you're not going to make another double crochet inside this stitch, rather you're going to go into the next double crochet and make double crochet there. And so now go ahead and make double crochet in each and every stitch until you complete the row. So I'm at the end of the row, and remember the chain 3 stitch that you made is also a stitch, so go into that and make your last double crochet like that. So for the third row, we are going to start increasing our work. So chain 2 and turn your work around, and you're going to increase in this first stitch over here. So make another double crochet for an increase, and then make double crochet in each and every stitch. So if your size large or extra large, you are going to, after increasing your work, after increasing your stitches here, and then the next stitch, make a plain double crochet, and then into the third stitch you're also going to make an increase like that. But since I'm making size small to medium, I'm not going to increase twice at the beginning, so I'm just going to go ahead and make double crochet in each and every stitch after making my first increase here. So go ahead and do that. I'll meet you at the end of the row. So I'm almost at the end of the row, and I have 3 stitches left, 3 double crochet stitches left. So if you are increasing faster, the way I showed you from the beginning here, so into this third stitch, third from last, you're going to make 2 double crochet here, but for me I'm just going to make a single double crochet. And then after making your 2 double crochets here, in the next stitch you're going to make 1 double crochet, and then in the last stitch where we're increasing, now you're going to increase as well by making 2 double crochet stitches. So that's 1, and the final one to make an increase like that. So basically it's like after your increase, in the next stitch you're not going to increase, and then in the third one you're going to make an increase. So yeah, to begin on the next stitch, you're going on the next row, you're going to chain 2, and then you're going to increase on your first stitch. So in that same double crochet you're going to make another double crochet like that, and then for me I'm going to make double crochet in each and every stitch. But if you're increasing quite fast, you're going to make a double crochet in the next stitch and then increase into this third one, and this is going to be your pattern until you reach to your nipple part, and then you're going to stop at that point, and then we're going to change how the pattern goes. So I'm almost at the end of the row, and I have 3 stitches left. So if you're increasing the fastest way, you're going to make an increase into this third stitch, and then in the next stitch you're not going to make an increase, and then in the last stitch you're going to make 2 double crochet to make an increase as well. So for me, I'm not going to make an increase there because I'm not increasing quite fast. So I'm only going to make an increase into the last stitch by making 2 double crochet in the same stitch. Like that. So in the next number of rows, you're going to repeat the same thing, increasing your work, and you'll be able to get something like this. For me, I did, let me use my tape measure to measure that. I stopped at 7 inches. That's where I stopped increasing my work on the sides. And at this point, from the neck to the 7 inches point, it's from my neck to the nipple part, and then at this point across it, it's like half size of my bust, and that's what you need to achieve. Once you get like half size of your fuller bust, assuming your fuller bust is 40 inches, so that means the half is 20 inches. So once you hit the 20 inches mark, you're going to stop from there, and then we're going to change our pattern. So go ahead and repeat the same thing, increasing your work, and I'm going to meet you at that point. So at this point I have half size of my fuller bust, and so far the height of the top is around 7 inches. So for the next number of rows, we are going to maintain our edges. We're going to work in straight line, no increase on the sides, and I'm going to make approximately, so from here to here we're going to maintain our edges, and it's around 4 inches. So I'm going to make 4 inches on this part. But if you need the height of your top longer, you can go ahead and continue increasing the height by simply working on straight line. So for the next row, we are going to work in straight line, and I'm going to chain 2, and instead of increasing, I'm going to go directly into the next stitch and make a double crochet, and then make double crochet in each and every stitch until you complete the row. So I'm at the end of the row, 3 stitches left, and in the last stitch I'm going to make 1 double crochet. I'm not going to make an increase on this end as well. And to begin on the next row, I'm going to chain 2, turn my work around, and I'm not going to increase on this first stitch. I'm going to go directly into the second stitch and make a double crochet, and this is going to be your pattern until you get the height of your top. Maintaining your ends, do not increase at the starting point and do not increase at the ending point. So I'm at the end of the row, and in the last stitch I'm going to make 1 double crochet like that. So repeat the same thing until you get the length of your top that you desire. So once you have your 2 equal parts, it's time to join them together, and I'm going to bind this side, this part where I worked in straight line, and I'm going to use a slip stitch with chain 1 to do the binding. So insert your hook on into the other side of your work, and then chain 1, and then pull through this other side and make a slip stitch, and now chain 1 again. And so I'm going to go into the row of double crochet and make a slip stitch, and then chain 1, turn onto this other side, and in the row of double crochet I'm going to make a slip stitch, chain 1, go into the next row of double crochet onto this other side, make a slip stitch, chain 1, turn onto the other side, make a slip stitch in the next row, chain 1, turn onto this other side, make a slip stitch in that row, chain 1, slip stitch onto this other side, and this is going to be your pattern until you bind the 2 sides together. Once you're done with the binding, you're going to chain 1 and cut off the yarn. So this is the wrong side, and then when you turn your work around, this is the right side of your work. So now go ahead and repeat the same onto this other side, and then the next thing we're going to do is to fix the part of it, the tassels. I also went ahead and made these arm details over here using these straps, and so I'm going to show you how to achieve this onto this other side, and they should be of the same length. Everything should be the same on both sides. So whatever I'll show you to do on this side, you're going to repeat it onto your other side. So take your yarn and attach it on the first row, and I'm going to use single crochet to do that. So I'll just chain one, go back into the same row and make a single crochet, and then tighten this. And then from here I'm going to make chain stitches, and I'm going to start by chaining 35. And the chain 35 is 5.5 inches unstretched, and so I'm going to take this strap and attach it on the upper part of this other side, like on the first row, using a slip stitch like that. And so to make the other strap, I need to get my yarn and hook at this point over here, and I have 2 rows, so it means that I need to skip a row, and to do that I'm going to work slip stitch 3 times to get me into this row over here. So basically I have skipped a row, and now I am on this 3rd row, and I'm going to chain 35 as well. I forgot to mention, if your size large and extra large, you need to chain longer chain than what I am doing. So my 35 chain stitches was 5.5 inches. You can start with 7 inches. And so yeah, I have my chain stitches of 35. I'm going to go on to this other side, and I'm going to skip a row, this row over here, and then in the 3rd row I'm going to make a slip stitch like that. And also I need to get my yarn and hook into this row, meaning that I have to skip a row, and to do that I'm going to make slip stitch to get myself into that row. So I have skipped a row, and then I'm going to make chain stitches, and now I am going to increase these chain stitches with 5, and I made 35. Now I'm going to chain 40. I have my 40 chain stitches. I'm going to turn onto this other side, and I am going to skip a stitch, and then in the next row I am going to make a slip stitch, and then I also need to skip a row, and I am going to make slip stitch to get me into this other row, and I am going to repeat 40 chains. I have 40 chains, and I am going to turn onto this other side and attach my yarn, and I'm going to skip a row, and in the next row I am going to make a slip stitch, and I need to go down, so I'm going to skip the next row, and in the other row I'm going to make a slip stitch, and to do that we're going to slip stitch going down until you get your hook into that row. And as you can see now, I have 2 strands of 35 chain stitches. In the next 2 strands it's 40 chain stitches, and this is going to be our pattern going towards the down part. So the next 2 strands it's going to be 45. Remember, we are adding an additional of 5 chain stitches. So to do that I'm going to chain 40. This was 35, 40, now it's 45. So I have 45 chain stitches, and I'm going to skip a row, and in the next row I'm going to make a slip stitch, and I need to go down, so I'm going to skip the next row by making a slip stitch to enable me get into this row, and then I'm going to repeat chaining 45. I have my 45 chain stitches, and I'm going to skip a row, and in the next row I'm going to slip stitch, and then I'm going to skip another row, and then get my yarn and hook there, and now I'm going to chain 50, and so continue repeating this, the same thing I've been showing you, by adding an additional 5 chain stitches after making 2 strands. And so I'm going to do this. I have 55 chain stitches on the bottom part, so I'm going to increase my stitches, and then once I am done, I'm going to meet you at that point. Once done, you're going to chain 1 and cut off your yarn. And so this is what we have on both sides. This is what we have. So the next thing we're going to do is you're going to take your yarn needle and weave in your ends. And this is what I'm going to do. Take your time to weave in your ends. And cut off. Now go ahead and weave everything. And it's completely done. Thank you so much for watching until the end. Don't forget to subscribe before you log out. Until next time, goodbye.